Who doesn't love lying on your back on a summer's day, looking up at the clouds and seeing shapes in those fluffy lumps of cotton wool that are drifting overhead? Look, there's a rabbit, there's a dragon. That's a space invader. It's a perfectly normal hobby for a grown man. Don't let anyone tell you different, okay? Good. Now, not all clouds are created equal. And amongst those everyday nimbostratus and cirrocumulus, there are some real weirdos out there owing their existence to nothing more than a bit of wind and water vapor. So here are some of my favorites. Quick cloud making 101. Warm air rises and cools. The water vapor that it contains then condenses out into tiny droplets, and that essentially is a cloud. Under the right condition, these droplets can coalesce and fall as rain. Plus, that combination of hot updrafts and cooler downdrafts can make the inside of a cloud a writhing, turbulent jumble of water and ice and electric charge, which can give rise to torrential rain or hail or lightning and thunder. Normal storm clouds like this are called cumulonimbus. And even the average Joe is a force to be reckoned with, towering to heights of up to 14 kilometers, fed by the convection of warm, moist air up high into the troposphere. But when it comes to aerial displays of strength, nobody does it better than a cumulonimbus. And when it comes to cumulonimbus, you don't get anything more impressive than a supercell. These giant storm clouds are formed when several cumulonimbus organize into a single structure. And they're unbelievably immense. They're stretching out over hundreds of miles from side to side, with the power to generate golf ball-sized hailstones and devastating tornadoes. While a normal storm cloud will dissipate within an hour or so, the terrifyingly efficient organization of wind within a supercell means that they're self-sustaining and they can last for several days. If anything deserves the title of King of Clouds, it's the supercell. Next, from the sublimely huge to the ridiculously weird, these are mammatus. Actually, what's known as an accessory cloud. They form attached to other larger scale structures, and they're called mamma after the Latin word for udders or breasts, because meteorologists thought that they looked like boobs. Yeah, I'm guessing there were no female meteorologists around to help set the matter straight. If you're lucky, you might see mamma on the underside of a cumulonimbus's incus, the part that spreads out like an anvil at the top. And that's because they form from a kind of reverse convection. At the top of a warm cumulonimbus cloud, it loses heat up into the stratosphere, and the cooler air drops down, condensing into smooth, pendulous lobes. And because they owe their existence to the vapor in the main cloud, it follows that the more powerful the thundercloud, the more buxom the mamma will be. Number 3 is a type of lens-shaped cloud that's often mistaken for flying saucers. In fact, the first ever photo of a supposed UFO turned out to be one of these lenticular clouds. Now you'll find these eerily smooth and stationary clouds loitering around near mountains and hills, which is a clue to how they're formed. When wind blows near the ground and encounters a sudden rise in the topography, it's deflected up and over it, forming a standing wave. At the crest of that wave, just above and a little downwind from the top of the mountain, the air is at its coolest, and the water vapor condenses, forming a cloud that's stretched out in the direction of the wind. Interestingly, although lenticular clouds stay still in one place, the wind is rushing through them at a rate of knots, and with it comes the water vapor that keeps condensing and evaporating again and again at that fixed point. Clouds that are formed by wind flowing over the Earth's lumps and bumps are called orographic clouds. And our next weird one is formed in a similar way. Nacreous clouds. They're sometimes known as mother-of-pearl clouds because of their astonishing array of colours. You get shining pink and blue and yellow in a dusky sky. It's gorgeous. They're unique amongst clouds in that they don't form in the troposphere where the rest of their vaporous brethren lie. Instead, they can be found in the stratosphere, over 32 kilometres up above the polar regions of the Earth. Under particularly still atmospheric conditions, winds can loft water vapour up through the tropopause, That's the invisible layer between the troposphere and the stratosphere, the normal ceiling to most clouds where temperature stops decreasing with altitude. And once up in the stratosphere, tiny ice crystals, just a few thousandths of a millimetre across, form at around minus 85 degrees Celsius. When the sun shines through these crystals at a shallow angle, their interference creates glorious rainbow colours. Unfortunately though, this spectacularly beautiful cloud is also one of the most destructive, as its ice particles act as catalysts for the breakdown of ozone by CFCs. And now, for my number one favourite weird-ass cloud, which I'd like to start by saying has absolutely nothing to do with its name. It's the Morning Glory. It rolls over the Gulf Savannah of northern Australia during September and October. This annual spectacle got its name from its tendency to appear in the morning and the sense of wonder it evokes in all who see it. It's a type of roll cloud, formed when air masses flowing in opposite directions meet to create long, tubular clouds that seem to roll back on themselves as they move forwards. But the Morning Glory is even better than that. It's a special case. Thanks to the unique geography and climate in northern Australia, these roll clouds can be nearly 1,000 kilometres long and speed across the landscapes at speeds of up to 35 miles an hour. And they're so vast and most importantly predictable that gliders can literally surf the cloud like a breaking wave, reaching blistering speeds of up to 160 miles per hour and performing daring tricks in its strong airflow. I really want to do that. Can anyone make that happen, please? There you go, 5 weird and wonderful clouds to impress your fellow cloud spotting mates with. There are so many more out there. I'd love to hear about your faves. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the little bell, you'll get a notification when the next science video comes up, and see you next time.